And before I tell you some other things, it says more than 58,000 Americans died, more than 300,000 Americans were wounded, and more than 2,500,000 served since we had a draft in. It's a little different now with Iraq. We don't have a draft, so it's the same 4 soldiers going over and over, which is a really bad deal. This is a little of the history of Vietnam. Back in, it says the roots of the Vietnam War started in about '46 when the French controlled Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia, and we had Ho Chi Minh there in Vietnam that was kind of against things, and French and Vietnamese got in some fights, and the Vietnamese won, and they wound up then separating the country into North and South Vietnam. I think it was 17th parallel. You can see I was about 130 pounds and gained about 100 since then, and a lot younger. Even had hair in that picture. But, country was divided, and you know, of course, there's a lot of talk now. Well, you know, this turned out to be kind of a civil war. We probably shouldn't have been there, but remember all the political talk then about the domino theory. If we let this one go, it was gonna just didn't know where it was going to stop. And so President Kennedy sent advisors over there first, probably starting about the time the French were defeated. We had advisors over there to give support. I think I remember in college maybe when, so they were there probably sending more advisors each year, about 63 or so there, 4, I remember on TV hearing about the first advisor that got killed. They weren't supposed to be in combat, but as advisors are, you go out with your unit, and things happen. So, after Kennedy, like I say, we sent those over, and things didn't get very much better over there. And then I think in '64 it says North Vietnam attacked American ship in the Gulf of Tonkin, and President Johnson at the time then started the troop buildup. I've written down some things here, kind of funny things and not so funny things that happened. Might start out, I grew up in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, which is south of Tulsa. Kind of a fairly small town, not real small, but small. And we moved to Stillwater, Oklahoma, where Oklahoma State University was, and we went to school there. I graduated in 1964 and had taken ROTC, so I got a commission in 1964 then as a second lieutenant. I stayed in school another year, got a master's degree in education, and I'd like to tell Mark, I did, after getting a master's, I knew I wasn't going to go into the Army until that fall, so I asked him to either send me, take me now or let me teach a school a year. And, you know, the powers that be up in the Army then probably knew they needed more cannon fodder in another year from now. So they said, y'all go ahead and teach. So I did get a teaching job. And it was 7th and 9th graders in Arvada, Colorado. And I have to always tell everybody I like Vietnam a lot better than I did teaching. One thing I got to carry it down. So that was the first job I had after college, and probably the only job I ever had where some days I didn't want to go to school, but I did anyway. So I hand it to Mark. From his talk, he's a great teacher. I don't think I was that good, and didn't appreciate that much. Some days were great, but a lot of them it was hard to go. So anyway, I got a year of teaching, so then after that year, it was time to go in the Army. I went to I was sent to Fort Benning, Georgia. Might back up a minute. Before I got my commission, I thought I'd like to be in the Signal Corps. And one of the sergeants there in the ROTC unit in college said, and I don't believe him now, I think he lied, but he said, you have to have a combat branch. You have to put one down. I said, yeah, okay, I didn't want armor or artillery, so okay, I'll take infantry. Well, I got infantry. So I don't think you really had to do that, but he sure buffaloed everybody into believing that you did. So I was, like I say, from a fairly small town, hadn't been really anywhere. So going to Fort Benning, Georgia, I took a bus ride from Oklahoma City all the way down through Alabama, Mississippi, and over to Georgia, Columbus, Georgia. That was a good experience. And I was still pretty naive then, thinking that to get an ROTC commission, it's a reserve army commission, not Ranger Army, like the West Point or somewhere, or joined up. So I thought, well, I was still thinking reserve army officers, they'll send you over to Europe or somewhere in the continental United States. Like I said, I was naive.